as we're starting off up here on our fly bridge, looking out at the flood.
And well, I mean, from here it looks just like a marina. I mean, how can you tell it's flooded?
You can tell it's flooded because you can actually drive a boat right into the dry storage over there. That's normally, normally 9 feet down. And
Hi there, I am Cherie, and behind the camera is Chris. If you are new to our channel, we are full-time nomads by RV and boat since 2006, and we have had Why Not, our 1999 Bayliner 4788 motor yacht since 2017, so we're going on 5.5 years of ownership of our boat. Intending to do the Great Loop, but the pandemic brought us back to Sanford, Florida, which is along the St. Johns River. So basically, you go in at Jacksonville, come down about 140 miles south, traveling up the river, and or down the river. It's confusing. It flows north.
yes,
You always get it confused. And we're 40 miles inland from the East Coast. And we did a video last weekend. We did go through Hurricane Ian about 10 days ago. We wrote it out on board. We have a whole video going over that experience, and we declared it. We did great. We were starting to talk about the waters rising. Then it was just a little bit. Now it's a lot. So we thought we'd do an update on the St. Johns River flooding and what it's like here in the waterfront of downtown Sanford. We are specifically at the downtown Sanford Marina, formerly known as Monroe Harbor Marina, which is currently technically shut down.
yes, Marina Island is an actual island. So out here, you see little splashes. That's where the seawall normally is that protects the marina, which is normally quite tall. Now it's completely underwater. And
Over that way, you see where the marine lift is, and there's a boat in there. That's usually a dry storage land all the way out to the fence. There's a parking lot beyond that is all flooded.
Yeah.
This is the dry storage building, not so dry right now. Over that way, you can see the public docks. That's where people can launch their boats. Usually it's dry land, almost out halfway down the docks. They are almost about to lift off their pilings.
yeah, they're basically off the pilings. They're just being held on by their foundations. We're actually going to walk you into the parking lot in a second. We're going to put our waders on and take you out for a full-on walk into town. And then we might actually end up seeing a SpaceX rocket launch too before this all ends. And you can see, looking that way, downtown Sanford is hopping. You can see the big parking lot over there if you're squint, I guess. We'll walk closer that way, but there's a huge Lake Monroe now extends most of the way into downtown. You could,
You can't really, and if you're not familiar with it, you might not realize that right beyond the boats
those are little chairs
those
sitting
are benches.
along the waterfront.
Usually there's a walkway there that goes all along the river, Lake Monroe,
Yes.
which is where we're at. Which is one of our favorite walking trails. It now is extending way into the field. Now, downtown Sanford itself, if you're wanting to come downtown to the restaurants and bars, it is fully open. It is dry over there.
Except for the stuff on the water, exactly on the Marina Island. Those are closed.
So we're going to go inside for a bit. We're going to tell you a little bit more about how we're dealing with the flooding situation, and then we're going to go take you a tour. We're going to be handheld in the water.
Yes, we're going to go walk and wade. So let's...
Excuse the mess of our boat. We did literally just go through a hurricane, and we're doing a lot of electrical modifications to deal with one of the challenges. We have no power.
Yes, so we're working to make our solar go further and have been doing all sorts of electrical upgrades here. Look. There's the electrical panel.
And this is our Admiral Kiki, and today is her 14th birthday.
And she is clearly stressing a lot. Look at this. Handling the flood with ease. Look at that. Okay. Look. There we are.
Are we facing towards us?
Yes.
Okay,
switch
cool.
it towards us.
Okay, so first of all, why is this happening? Hurricane Ian was now what?
Over a week ago, yeah.
Yeah, way over a week ago.
And the waters are still rising.
So why is the waters rising now? So what you need to understand about the geography of Florida is, first of all, Ian dropped about 15 to 20 inches of rain in central Florida. And then, so there's a lot of initial localized flooding, and all that flooding now runs into its nearest riverbed. Up here, it's the St. Johns River, which starts about down in Vero Beach and runs down, up, to
all the way to
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. And Jacksonville, it's a very slow-moving river with a very little drop, and Jacksonville's also flooding, and there's been a king tide, so the tide has been pushing back, so the water's had nowhere to go, so it's basically just piling up here in Lake Monroe, and has been rising, and it is now actually at a record flood. It's past the prior record that was set in 1953, and now we're going to go wade with you through record floodwaters here.
Now we're not in a
Well,
moment.
in just a moment. In a moment, yes.
So it is currently at 8.95 feet above sea level. The last record was
above the mean level for the lake,
okay.
not sea level, but yeah,
Okay.
the normal level.
I've been saying sea level
Yeah, it's not
everywhere.
sea level.
You should have protected me.
Okay.
Earlier. And then it was 8.5 was the previous record that we broke from 1953, and it is supposed to crest at 9 feet sometime overnight tonight, but they have been moving the cresting point forward every day. So we've heard this story about 6 times this week.
It's like, this is it. This is the highest it's going to get. Right. We've had to go out and buy galoshes. We then actually went and got pavers so we can raise up a little walkway that we can still just not flood our galoshes to get to drier land.
All right, so the marina shut down on Wednesday. I mean, they're allowing us to still stay here. I mean, they can't do anything about that.
There's a couple other people staying at the marina as well.
They did, however, shut off the power and water because of the risk of that pulling off of land. The entire little marina island we're at has had power shut off because the water was rising up to the transformers.
The big assisted living facility that's on the island had to be evacuated. All the residents were taken out when the power got shut down. So it feels, I mean, the weather has been beautiful and calm and gorgeous this past week, but the water just keeps rising. And so it's kind of like a slow moving disaster. We have it so easy compared to, for us, it's actually, for a boat, it's just like, the
just
boat
keep
floats.
rising.
It just keeps rising. It's just harder
so
to get to
unlike
shore.
people who live on the waterfront, along the lakes, in the
flooding.
rivers,
Their houses flood.
They're getting flooded. And of course, what we're experiencing here is nothing like where Ian's landfall was down in the Fort Myers, Sanford. That is ridiculous, amazing, astronomical
horrible
devastation.
disaster,
And we went through Irma down in Marathon. We have seen that level of destruction. I think this is even worse from the pictures I've seen. They're still dealing with it. So we don't want to make light of that. We are feeling very blessed to be dealing with this, especially on a boat.
Yeah, but we've had so many people ask us questions like, so what's going on there? Are you okay? What's the flood like? And there's a lot of actually just in general tourists coming down to the lakefront to see the flooding, and particularly even driving out through the dirt causeway that they've built to come out here on the Marina Island and drive through the water. So you probably shouldn't be a tourist to come out straight into the floodwaters. Come down to Sanford and visit
Support
the town.
the businesses, see it from the shore.
but we'll take people for a walk who keep asking about it, but send your donations and your support to Fort Myers and the other places that are really serious disaster zones.
Right.
They're
dealing with a lot
yes.
there. And this will take a while to recede.
Yes.
Now, how are we dealing with things? For us, this is not all that different than living at anchor, where we don't have power and water sources. We are designed for this. So we have 1,440 watts of solar on the top of Wynot. We have lithium-ion batteries.
Big water tanks. We have
a composting
toilet. We still have shore facilities here because we don't know when they will be getting back around to pump outs either. So we're a lot of autonomy here, and
we are furthering some of the upgrades. You saw some of the projects coming down the stairs. What Chris was working on today is we got a smaller inverter so we can run just the fridge, because right now that is the only critical thing, and there's a lot of phantom overhead on the larger inverters. So this is a project we were planning to do before we set off for the Great Loop in the spring.
Now it's became urgent, and
yes.
so now we'll be able to run just the fridge and shut down everything else and just leave the fridge going 24/7, and that's been required a few major wiring changes to set this up, but it's something that was on the to-do list anyway. It just became more higher priority.
Because best estimate, we're probably not getting power back for another week.
Yeah, we'll see how. Even once we crest, maybe late tonight, it's still only forecast to drop an inch a day
or so. It's going to be a slow recede, and they turned off our power at 8.5 feet. So when we're approaching 9, so it may be a while before we see power again. We do have shore facilities for showers. There's no hot water because they've turned off power out here. But we're making do. We're fine. We have a hot tub up on deck deployed. We are not suffering, and we have the downtown Sanford all behind us. We can
wade ashore and go out to eat.
If some of you know, we also travel by our camper van, a 2020 Travado GL. We just came off a 3-month trip on. We got blooper ashore just as soon as we could, and she is sitting on dry land, and she is our airlock, basically. It's where we keep our dry shoes
Yep.
after we wade ashore. And then we have access. We can do groceries and provisions, everything else. So don't feel bad for us. We are fine. We've had so many people offer assistance, so we can come stay with them. Can they bring us emergency supplies?
We're
We
good.
are fine. Please help those that are
Really need it.
really need it. We do not want to make light of the situation with what we're about to show you.
But let's go show them we got good light.
Let's go
Let's
out
go
there.
get wet. Let's go put the galoshes on. And we'll leave Kiki in charge of the boat while we go ashore. Oh, yeah, she's really working hard.
If you join in for a lot of our recent lives, we usually are just sitting with the camera answering questions. We are doing this handheld on a smartphone with a gimbal. Hopefully it'll keep it somewhat stable, but audio may suck out here. It is getting a little breezy, and they may be a little shaky. We are literally wading through floodwaters.
Dodging
but your feet get to
moccasins.
stay dry, so consider that. So apologies in advance. We also have a very small screen. We may not see your questions, so
Yep, we can barely see anything that pops up in the chat. So this is not mostly going to be interactive. We'll try.
yeah. So our galoshes, we secured these just as
We got the last ones available in town, basically. Whoop. There you go.
Which way is this going?
It's facing.
Okay. All right. He's got camo. His first camo he's ever owned. That's all he could get.
It was all that was available. Okay.
Okay. I guess you're being the camera operator.
Most of the boats here did very well. Some of them had lost their biminis and had line snap. A lot of line snapped, but
Living at a dock is really no different when you're in a flood. I mean, it's just there's more water underneath us. We don't feel it. We are in no jeopardy. The biggest concern is these things right here. We are on a floating dock. If we get tall enough that we exceed that, the docks float off.
Yes.
That is currently not predicted. So
yes, that would be an incredibly
if
high.
it is happening, we are ready to leave the marina and go anchor out in the lake.
Yes, because then the entire marina would fall apart if the docks float off the pilings.
And you will hear generator noise going. Of course, everyone who has chosen to stay here has to have their own power source. So we're putting up with a lot of generator noise.
This ramp ahead of us is normally a very steep climb up. Now we have to climb up and then wade down. So this is a very dramatic difference.
If you've ever been to downtown Sanford, you might be familiar with the Barber Lee, which is our paddle wheeler tour boat. It is actually up the river having its Coast Guard inspection. So it is currently hauled out as best we understand. It was supposed to come back this week. There's no way it is making it back until the waters recede.
Yeah, it can't get under the bridge when the river's in flood level. So it might be a very long time before the Barber Lee can get back into Lake Monroe.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a challenge.
Yep.
This is extremely steep. Good grip, and then straight down
Into the water. Here we go. And this is why they've got the power off, is as this rises, it was not designed to raise up like this. So they're afraid the wires are being stretched and pulled.
All the wire and power is underneath this gangway, and it wasn't designed for this sort of angle.
Okay, get wet. And we hope we are within tiny little bit of not flooding our galoshes. So this is where we put pavers down to give us an extra inch. Yeah, so see, we've got a little paver there because look how close that is to going into her galoshes.
This is me standing on the pavers.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the parking lot. There's usually a sidewalk here to the trash cans. This is usually a big parking lot. Blooper usually sits here. That's a pizza restaurant. It was almost flooded.
It is, yeah. It is been closed. They were open after the hurricane. They opened up after the storm, only to have the flood come along. And so we made our little path through the deepest part with pavers here.
So we have found the shallowest way for us to get off because the parking lot is now too deep, unless you have hip waders.
Yes, we have somebody on the dock who does have hip
We
waders.
can still get ashore that way, and that's where the bathhouse is. So we always make a pit. Well, we won't this time. We won't make a pit stop.
But we will show you some of this.
So I'm going to carefully go over this paver path that we just installed.
There's some water getting in you there. And alligators and water moccasins have been sighted. So
And every so often you have fish swim by.
that is cool. When the sun is right overhead, you can see right down into the parking lot. The water's pretty murky, but you see little fish go down by your feet, which can be quite fascinating. And yeah, there's the pavers.
Here it gets a little less deep than we can walk, so that's our favorite path to
Yep.
put it this morning. And then it's a very slow walk.
As if you
ever walk through deep water, you know what I mean. It takes a while, and you don't want to walk too fast, or else you create wake.
that floods your galoshes.
Yeah, so it's a gentle process. We do this about 2 or 3 times a day to go ashore. We get our running in, our walking, we go out for dinner, get our lattes. We are not suffering. I'll make that very clear. This is we're considering our dinghies to be like our galoshes to be like our dinghy.
Yep, just looking back, you can see almost why not as we come around the bend here. It's a beautiful, beautiful night. We've had very good weather, not much wind. When the wind does pick up, we actually have waves through the parking lot, which has been kind of interesting to see because there's, the seawall's underwater. This is the Robert E. Lee's dock, which is kind of fallen apart. Barbara Lee's dock, yes. We actually had to go save all their spare paddle wheel paddle boards. They were all floating away, so we made a pile that's hopefully tall enough to keep them from floating. The marina office is over there. We could probably drive our dinghy right up to the marina, maybe even into the marina office now, because the water has gone up to the level of the front doors.
Slow process getting ashore.
Hey.
Yeah, when they moved their boat up to the Coast Guard inspection, I see someone put a slow sign on.
Oh gosh, yes.
They
Yeah.
moved a lot of stuff off the boat there, so I hope that I don't think those things are waterproof.
No, so their storage pods are getting water inside of them now. And yeah, people do drive through here, particularly with trucks or Jeeps and stuff, and they're kicking up wake. So, don't drive onto the island and don't drive through floodwaters unless you really, really need to.
If you have to drive through floodwaters,
Drive very slow.
We're creating wake into places that were not designed to have,
Yes.
have water splashed up.
Mm-hmm.
Out at the end, we've got the St. John's Grill. They're on some of the roofs. They are closed. The water is pretty much up to the door.
Yes. They opened up again. They actually managed to open up even after having all that roof damage. They opened up for a couple days after Ian, but then the water kept rising. And again, apologies for the audio. I'm sure the wind is making it very hard to hear us. So focus on the pretty scenery and the high water, which is this is as high as it's gotten. It's almost getting to the Barbara Lee offices, and this is where also the bathhouse is. It's a few more inches and it gets inside there.
We have a little protection from the wind here.
Yep. Okay.
So
Yep.
sorry for the wind. We don't have room to put on our normal wind mic on this.
On the little gimbal here,
on the
yeah.
gimbal too, so
Yes.
we don't normally do these handhelds because they are tricky.
Yes.
technologically.
But hey, it's fun. We got 110 people walking through the water with us.
And you get to keep your feet dry.
Yes.
Without snakes, without alligators.
Okay, there's the bathhouse. You can see how close the water is. It's lapping right up to the entrance.
All right, so what we are about to do, this is the parking lot. There's a road that comes up the center of Marina Isle. On the other side, we have the west basin of downtown Sanford Marina. We're on the east basin. This is normally a road. It is what flooded first. And the city came out and they made a temporary berm road. It is basically a whole bunch of dirt they've spent about 3 days laying down. They have abandoned it at this point, so it's underwater in a lot of
It's just a
places.
big muddy mess now. But they did it because of this assisted living facility. So they kept the road, raising the level of the road, so that the employees who work there and the residents and stuff could at least get onto the island with this 1-lane raised dirt road, and it's passable by trucks and high clearance things. And well, now that they've abandoned the assisted living facility, the city has stopped adding more dirt to this road, and it's going to be such a mess to clean this up because this is piled up 2 or 3 feet deep to make this dirt road on top of what had been the island access road. But it does, you can see here, this is just all debris and rocks and stuff. They just dumped it truckload after truckload to provide access to the island.
This is how we make our way to the island. It's a single lane road that has got more narrower and narrower as the waters come in. And we've seen fist fights break out here.
Because it's one lane.
And like, no, you go around. No, you back up.
Yeah, we had people drive out here. They actually were driving down the dirt road and through these giant puddles and potholes, thinking they were going to the restaurant. They were like, "Oh, the restaurant's closed." I'm like, "It's flooded. The rest of Sanford's open. Go to everything else except the restaurant on the island." Oh, there's some pretty sunset colors over there. This is you can see a little bit of a bimini sticking up. That's the one large boat we know of that's sunk in the marina. You can just barely see the top of it there. It's a boat that has sunk before. It was kind of a derelict, so we think it was really intended to be a submarine. But it sunk right in the middle of the fairway, broke free and sank. But other than that, well, most of the boats did okay here. And some of these vans that are in the parking lot are trying to become boats. They're getting pretty close. And we're very glad we got Blooper back onto the mainland.
The center of the parking lot is semi-shallow, you can see. So some of our dock mates who stayed behind, they've left their vehicles there. They're higher clearance, so they're very kind when we have lots of packages.
Yes. When we brought all the concrete pavers over, we had a friend with a thing. This is E-dock at the marina. This dock actually partially broke apart, so the whole end of E-dock broke off. And so
these houseboats broke into the other boat.
Yeah, so they had to relocate a lot of the boats from E-dock, but several finger piers are sunk, and I think E-dock is going to end up being condemned. And here, this is our causeway. I definitely would not drive the van down this right now.
It is still just surreal to me to see the boats at land level.
Oh my God, yeah.
You're used to looking down at them.
Uh-huh.
And then they get some extra protection from wind. So
yes. Yep. And you see the causeway has been completely breached here in a couple spots.
Hey, how are you?
We're good. We're broadcasting live, sharing the flood. Uh-huh. Oh, look at that moonrise, though. Oh, that's gorgeous.
Beautiful moon.
I'm not sure how that's going to come across in the camera, but...
There should be a rocket launch in about 15 minutes.
Yep, there's a SpaceX launch. It'll be right here over the water, and very soon. So we'll keep the live going long enough for that if you guys want to hang around. Yep, back into the water. Here we go. And keep in mind, this is like 3 feet deep of dirt piled up here, particularly up here in the center. So we're way elevated above what the road was. And you're starting to see all the cars down in downtown Sanford. See the steamboat sign. Our pizza restaurant is could do water delivery.
Floating pizza.
Floating pizza.
Have a good night, guys.
Take care. Let's go. You're going through the wet way. Yeah, this is our neighbor Scott, and he is showing off just how deep it is in the road here. Oh my! See,
Yeah, so he's going through the crosswalk.
that is the normal pedestrian.
Did you wait for the signal?
Yeah, wait for the pedestrian crosswalk signal.
It didn't come.
Okay, you are soaked, dude. This is the Sanford River Walk, which is we normally walk and run and now swim. And there's there's a heron right on the waterfront over there, and there was an alligator actually sighted swimming right through here the other day. So that's why we take the long way and go across the causeway.
Or we can have some chance of seeing what we're stepping on.
So in the trees that fell. Oh yeah,
See the fire hydrant?
the fire hydrant. The water is now over the plug and the fire hydrant there. And I know. Yeah, here's the big city parking lot here. This is all underwater there. When the marina started to flood, that's where everybody started keeping their cars, and well, that didn't work for long. That's City Hall and the municipal buildings behind there. Oh yeah, Seahall's behind that. That's the courthouse, Seminole County Courthouse. And the water is almost coming up to First Street. It actually comes all the way across into First Street, down on the other side of the Civic Center. The Civic Center and this whole big field here was going to be where Sanford's famous Oktoberfest was going to be happening next week. And yeah, this coming weekend, and they've now changed it to be Novemberfest to hopefully give it time for the waters to recede.
They hold it on this field, which is now part
A swamp and part of the lake. And just got the 10-minute alert to a rocket launch. Excellent. So it looks like a countdown is proceeding. We got 137 people watching us splash around. Hey. And I really hope you can actually hear us talking, because we normally don't do this without microphones, but we normally don't walk around and do lives quickly on the spur of the moment in floodwaters. And Tony's asking for whether there's any issue of downed electrical lines. And no, I mean, the city municipal buildings here, they have shut the power down and are well on top of this. This is not an emergency situation. The floodwaters have been rising very slowly over the course of a week, so they've been able to keep ahead of things and shut them down as needed. That's why we have no power at the island.
If you look over there, you can see Blooper.
Oh yeah.
Still on dry land.
Yeah, we've relocated the van now, so it's there. And the downtown Sanford, it's a Saturday night, right? It's going to be hopping. There's all the bands and live music.
Those buildings over there we've got 5 breweries, a distillery, a winery, several local restaurants. They just opened a Peruvian place that I'm anxious to try out.
A new taco truck just opened, yes.
Once we get to shore, we go over to Blooper, change our shoes, and then we get to experience our Sanfording.
Yes.
It's just a little bit more of an adventure to get there.
Uh-huh. Let's go. Swing around. You can both be on camera here. There we are. So, this is our causeway back into...
Oh, we got a truck
we got a truck coming through. And, the people who were here just last weekend, the water is so much higher.
You're not framing very well.
There we are. And there's the wake coming. That's an appropriately slow speed. I give them kudos there. And
the road's gotten very bumpy because it's easy to tear up.
Yep, there we go. There we are. Yep. So yeah, people are saying we're hearing us loud and clear. So the audio is apparently working great.
Right. The iPhones have come a long way in
the built-in microphones. Yes.
Awesome.
So want to go back onto the causeway for a view for the launch, I guess?
We'll start that and end us with the launch. And then we're actually going to go join Scott for beer.
Yes. We were keeping the last of his beer cold because he had to evacuate because he had no way to keep his electrical running.
He has a kegerator on board.
Yeah, so he filled growlers with his beer for us to keep cold for him. And, now we're going to consume it this evening. And it is beautiful, and it's the sunrises, because the lake is so calm, and the sunrises have just been gorgeous. And you walk out here on the waterfront, and the rising sun reflected in the rising waters is beautiful if you don't realize exactly what's going on and how big of a mess this is.
Well, we've gotten some beautiful shots of ducks swimming on the water. Fish splash. It's a surreal experience, and definitely will be something that we remember for a very, very long time. Very thankful that the marina did well through the storm itself, and we still have our home. It floats.
And look at that moon rising.
We're set up for living at anchor, so we consider this living at anchor, and our dinghy is just our galoshes. And it's we'll probably at least have another week before they return services to us. Just based upon when they turned them off and what the current projections. But it's going to be several weeks for this to recede to a point where we can hang up the galoshes.
And it might be actually months before the river is fully opened up again, too. We've heard about when Tropical Storm Faye came through, which is the last time it flooded even slightly close to this, but this is higher. The river was closed for 3 months. Okay. And there we are. So... view this way.
Street signs.
Yep, street signs just sticking out of the water.
That moonrise is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's distracting to see that moonrise. I'm not sure it's coming across in the resolution of the video. Yes. And yeah, we'll get around the front of the building and we should have a beautiful view for the rocket launch.
Are we going through the deep way?
Do you want to flood your galoshes?
No, not really.
Okay, so yeah, we should have time to go around the long way, I think. Have 5 minutes to launch, I think.
Okay, go on with go. You better
Okay.
make space.
Okay, let's move. Or we can just do it watch from the causeway. It'll be pretty over the water, over the.
Don't get run over by a jeep. Is there any questions?
Yeah, I guess now's the chance to throw any questions. I might see them as they pop up in the chat. I only see like one at a time.
If you do have questions, once this is done with live, you can leave normal YouTube comments and we'll field those later. So if
Yes.
you're watching this later or you do have questions for us, just ask them there and we'll reply. But if you see them come across, we'll do our best for you.
Yep. We're used to doing our lives with eCam with a nice big interface that we can feature questions and throw overlays up. But hey, this is handheld. Oh, that's gorgeous. This is going to be the spot. Yeah, this is beautiful here. We got how much time? Let's see, 7:06. We got like 4 minutes. I think this would be a beautiful view, as long as nobody runs us over. There's fenders floating through the parking lot here. We actually picked up a fender almost floating into downtown earlier.
There will be a lot of trash cleanup once the water's received.
Oh, yes.
Which, we will be involved with. We are passionate about picking up trash, and we are picking it up as we can get to it.
Yep.
But I'm not going to risk putting my hand in an alligator's mouth to do so. We
Yes.
are kind of smart.
Sometimes. And yeah. Well, hey.
Yeah, this has been a surreal experience, and it's going to continue to go on. If you are coming to downtown Sanford to experience it and you'd like company, shoot us a message.
We might wait ashore.
We might make the effort to wait ashore. Can't guarantee it. It is a lot of effort.
Uh-huh. Let's see.
But yeah, if you do come down here, wait until the water recedes enough that this road is accessible. It is quite precarious. It is definitely a low clearance vehicle. There are some spots here that are.
Yeah, we've seen people almost get stuck, and we've seen fights break out from people going 2 directions at once, and nobody wants to back up for, what is it, a quarter mile? So yeah, don't drive on the island unless you really need to. Marina Island, which is normally not an island, it's normally just a little peninsula, is definitely an island now. And okay, what time is it? Glenn asks, is there a lot of displaced wildlife looking for dry land?
There have been reports of alligators. The wildlife around here is a lot of birds. So there were 2 bald eagles playing in the parking lot the other day.
Eagles in the parking lot.
What one of our former dock mates found. We've seen ducks out here. They're enjoying having more waterfront.
Yeah, the birds love it actually, and there's a lot less traffic in the marina, and a lot less people around, so the animals are kind of celebrating.
But I would imagine at places with more wildlife, like the Black Bear Preserve is just a few
Very
miles
flooded,
up.
yes.
I would imagine that is all flooded out. But they have, hopefully they're able to go inland. This is only really affecting maybe a quarter mile, half mile into land.
Yeah. Actually, I think I've seen squirrels being relocating and being displaced a bit. So I've seen some, kind of squirrel fights breaking out. But overall, good. I saw Dave and Stacy are watching. So hey guys, hopefully you'll be able to get up the river. Oh, Elliot's there too. Hey Elliot, awesome. Yay! Seeing a few things pop up, and it should be any moment now for the rockets to shoot up past the moon.
Oh, that's gonna be gorgeous.
Yeah.
You guys are in for a treat.
If you pull my phone out of my pocket here, you can get some stills of all of this going down. Hey, smile.
Everyone smile. You're on camera. Okay. Okay. We can't see you.
Yes, we can. No, we've got the YouTube override cheat code. Okay.
Give them a view of that beautiful moon. They don't want to look at us.
Okay. You can moon them. There we are.
I'm not mooning.
Okay, we'll just hold here and hopefully we'll see a rocket any moment now.
It'll come kind of over where the shed is there in the marina.
Yeah, this should be a beautiful
so
view.
we are about
10
40
seconds was
miles
just shared.
from Cape Canaveral.
Yep.
So we get pretty decent views here,
Yeah, the launches here are beautiful.
especially this time of night. You still get the sunlight that will pick up all the vapor.
Yeah, because we are just a few minutes past sunset now, so the rocket should light up spectacularly. Hey, is it in up? Oh, I see it. I see the glow. There it comes. There it is.
Yeah, there you go. If you can.
I don't have a way to zoom with the YouTube app, unfortunately, but you could see it coming up. I actually see it on the screen there, so hopefully the YouTube resolution is showing it. It's going right up past between the two masts of those sailboats out there. And oh, look at all those birds. Oh, get some stills of that. It's a beautiful. The birds coming overhead, rocket going up, floodwaters. Oh, wow. That's actually spectacular.
Can you see the rocket?
I can see the dot here. It's
Yeah, it'll get once it gets further up, you'll get to see more of the contrails of it. So they're starting to see the smoke behind it now. You can see that smoke now lighting up in the sun. Oh
Yeah.
wow, yeah.
and yeah, this is just gorgeous. Wow.
Someone out with the drone.
Yep. You can see the rockets up, the trails lit up there. Yeah. And should be getting to main engine cutoff soon.
On a darker night at this point, you can see the fire behind it changes colors. It's kind of like a rainbow unicorn going through the sky. It's my favorite part of the launch.
Yes.
And then, will we see the octopus in the sky here tonight?
I don't know. This is the kind of lighting that sometimes you get the second stage and you get to see the thrusts of the first stage aiming and coming back down to earth. It looks like pulses of a giant space squid.
Because we see space squids all the time.
I've watched enough sci-fi. I know what a space squid should look like. Okay, that was a main engine cutoff. You get to see that. I can still see the rocket. Looks like the second stage is lighting. Yep, there's second stage, I think.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, this is always beautiful when you see it so high into the sky, right over a full moon or near full moon. I love seeing in the chat people are chronicling the rocket's path too from watching the other live streams.
Seeing it's doing a little bit of the.
Yeah, you're seeing the gases light up, way up in the edge of space there. This is a launch of Galaxy 33 and 34, new satellite TV broadcast satellites to make more space on the spectrum for C-band cellular. So this is replacing old satellite TV systems with newer technology to make more space for 5G. So we covered that over at our day job. It's all the fun, geeky side of communication.
You're kind of going into work mode there, babe.
Sorry. Well, no, there's satellite.
Oh wow!
peaking.
Look at the shadows coming off of the contrail.
Oh, I don't know if that is going to come off
my
on the
gosh,
camera, but
they're,
it's
like,
beautiful.
Going into the moon.
It looks like a snake crawling into the sky with little moon lasers. Yeah.
I think that's the end. That's probably the end of the launch that we'll see here.
Okay.
All right, let's.
Okay. Let's spin it back around and say farewell then. Okay. Okay. There, let's get you. Almost fell in the water.
Don't fall in the water. Well, thank you guys for joining in and coming for a tour of downtown Sanford Marina Isle. All of the St. Johns River is experiencing this. The Peace River further south of us is also experiencing this.
Much worse. So again, we got it lucky.
We got it extremely blessed here, but this is what it is like for our day-to-day life we are dealing with and will be dealing with in the weeks ahead. And everyone along the St. Johns River all the way to Jacksonville is getting
with
this,
floods.
and it's going to get worse for them after it gets better for us. It's a very slow moving river.
Yeah, floods happen very slowly, always after the storm. We have so many people write to us and say, "Oh, isn't it great that you're past everything?" It's like, actually, for us,
No, it's really getting.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
getting. We got through the storm, and that's a different
Kind
type
of
of stress.
experience.
I mean, that's high adrenaline. That was 36 hours of no sleep.
And this
going
is
to the
wet
Rockies.
feet stress. And
This
like,
is just
I've-
this slow rise for a
So-
week. The last week we've been
But
seeing.
hopefully by this time tomorrow, we'll see the river starting its going
They've been
down.
saying that for 3 days. I will
Fingers
believe it when I
crossed.
see it.
Fingers crossed. Okay.
Anyway, thank you for joining in. Thank you for coming to our lives. We're going to try to get these more regular again because
Yeah.
they are fun.
Okay.
So thank you. Have a great night. We're off to party in Sanford.
Good night.